Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli with Little Blue, and we are giving our review on so far on Picard because we had there had only been 3 episodes released, and we had watched them. In fact, we did watch episode 3 a while ago. So what do we think so far of Picard? I'll start with you.
I like it.
You do
I do.
so far.
Yep. It's a very complicated series. Um, if you're a Star Trek fan, it's a little easier to follow, but there's still a lot of
And a fan of the Next Generation.
exactly. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of missing pieces that haven't fallen together yet. So you get you can get the feeling of being lost, but you kind of have to hang with it because things become more clear as you go. Things happen even in the first episode that are leaving you just like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
So as you watch it, the plot starts to unfold and things become more clear. And by the end of episode 3, they're setting it up for really the rest of the series.
Exactly, yeah. And for me, you know what? I enjoy it. I think it's pretty good. And ever since it was announced, and ever since Patrick Stewart announced it, we were very excited, because Patrick Stewart returning to Star Trek as the one and only Jean-Luc Picard.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what was also great is that we had so far gotten some pretty good appearances from some good old characters.
Oh, I know.
From Data, and we'll be getting Seven of Nine and Riker and Troy.
Yep. And in this episode 3, we saw Hugh.
Yeah.
If anybody remembers from The Next Generation, the episode of the Borg, Geordi LaForge names him Hugh.
And then he appears in the part 2 in the first episode, and also part 2 of season 7.
Exactly.
With the Borg and lore. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, and Hugh, he looks a lot different, and I can understand that. But what's so cool is if you notice, he has a bit of a scar or mark or whatever from where that thing was on around his eye.
Exactly, and he seems to be a completely different person now.
Yeah.
Well, he was a Borg, but
he changed, after going through a lot, and when he was on board the Enterprise, and when he appeared again in season 7.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's almost human now.
Yeah. So, and the appearance of Data, what about that?
Without giving away too much, there was
Well, I think people would have seen the first episode by now. So
yeah, to know that Data is actually not alive, and
Yeah.
that bothered me because
I would go and say this: if any of you guys know this, if you follow the history of Star Trek, I remember this back in 2009. This was a few months before Star Trek came out. Each month these comic book issues came out leading up to the first Star Trek film by J.J. Abrams.
Right.
That ties in with Spock and Prime Spock as it's called, and Nero. Making their way into the past and changing history and making a second universe.
Right, and Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orci, who wrote those comic books, the storyline to build up to the movie,
Which was really well done.
One of them is actually involved in Picard and as an executive producer, and I was really surprised that they had Data dead in this timeline because he's not
the
dead.
main universe.
Exactly, because if you saw the last Star Trek movie,
Nemesis,
the last Next Generation movie.
Yeah, I was about to say the Next Generation film.
That's important. Which I think came out
2002.
2002. Okay, yeah. That time, B4 basically. You see that by the time the comic book comes out, you realize that B4 actually becomes Data.
Yeah, because Data transferred his functions, everything else to B4.
Exactly.
And because Data knew that at some point he was going to sacrifice himself and to save Picard and the Enterprise crew.
Right, but in this timeline, in Picard, it's explained that he was unable to absorb all of Data's memories, and he was not the same type of android. He was basically a prototype, so he wasn't as advanced, and his positronic brain, as it was, could not absorb all of Data's memories, and so he couldn't function. So they disassembled him.
Yeah.
But yet in the
other comics, he's
captain of the
Enterprise E.
Of the Enterprise E. Yeah.
Everything seems okay.
Exactly.
But if they could explain it, like, what if something like later on went horribly wrong?
Yeah,
it's a possibility that could explain it.
That could be if they explained it that way. But he lets on like Data is dead. That Data gave his life, which he did. Gave his life for Picard. But I don't know. There's some confusion there that they need to straighten up.
Exactly.
And if it were separate writers, I could understand.
And they could bring back Data.
Yeah.
Like they put them back together and such. Bring them back.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to end up happening before all this is done. I really do.
They're gonna, fans are gonna be talking about that, like we are.
They're going to find a way to.
They'll respond to the fans and they'll say, "Hey, we'll take care of it." Well, if you want this, we'll do it.
Somewhere, I would say his memory is being stored, and it's what's there that was transferred into B4. It's being stored somewhere. And they're going to find a way to transfer it into B4, and B4 will become Data.
Yeah.
That's going to be my guess.
I mean, he was before, but that's when I guess something went horribly wrong, and they had to shut him down completely,
Exactly.
And I'm sure they could find a way to do that again, bring Data back.
Sure.
So, and see, because the thing is, I remember that, Spock and Data, they shared a lot in common, They sacrificed themselves for the Kirk and Picard and the Enterprise and such.
Yep.
And they came back. Well, Spock succeeded coming back. Data, he did, and he can't, and he still can.
Yep, he still can
because of what happened, what they explained to Picard. But you know what? They can do that. They can fix that. They can fix that after fans and like us, we've been talking. Well, wait, did you remember the comic issues and such?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean there?
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. I know CBS is going to be hearing this. The people who run Star Trek, they're going to be hearing this from the fans,
Sure,
like us, etc. So they better fix that, and bring Data back.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And besides, if Data, how he appeared, like, they have the technology, like, because, like, aging Brent Spiner and such, Data,
Oh, yeah, they can make him look younger.
So, yeah, like how he did, like how he appeared, and like how he looked in the, like, flashback and dream sequences.
Sure.
And what was so cool, how the show first started, like the episode 1 started, like we get a shot of the Enterprise D.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the song "Blue Skies," sung by Ben Crosby.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And yeah, so and the thing about and what's interesting is that with Data, he has actual daughters. In this.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, what do we think of that,
I don't know. There's just no way of knowing exactly how it happened or what's going on. But
Data once had a daughter, which was Law.
Right. But wouldn't it be interesting to find out that this Sim, as they're calling it, is that this sister, the one that survived.
Yeah, the other one got killed and such by Romulan acid and such. And there's a twin.
Romulan assassins killed her.
Yeah, but there's a twin that's still alive and such.
Right, and I think they're called the Tal Shiar.
Yeah,
the
like name is familiar in Star Trek, the Tal Shiar.
Tal Shiar, yeah, the special forces of the Romulans.
That name is.
But I think it's a possibility that it was Bruce Maddox, if anybody remembers that name from the Next Generation, who's also in Picard. They haven't found him yet, but he's. Basically,
but I know the name
Starfleet's,
Bruce Maddox.
Artificial intelligence. He was from he was in the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation when he tried to get Data surrendered to Starfleet research, and Picard defended him.
Measure of a Man? Or?
Yep, the Measure of a Man.
Yeah.
And was able to prove that he was a sentient being, and he had rights as not only as a Starfleet officer, but as a sentient being.
And also like and proved that he was a harmless android and such.
Exactly.
And he was.
So he,
like they knew in the audience watching the episode and the show knew. So
right. So what ended up happening was he gained his well, he didn't gain his freedom. He was at risk of losing it, but his freedom was secured, and he went on to, he went on as a Starfleet officer, obviously. But Bruce Maddox also went on to become friends with Data, and they corresponded. And so, what I really think could have happened is that part of Data's essence was taken and used to create these twin sisters.
Yeah.
So I think it's very possible that she's having these memories. These things are coming back to her, and it could be taken from Starfleet databanks that she is automatically recalling all this stuff, and I think she's going to start recalling memories from Data.
Yeah. Later on in the show, I guess.
Yep. That's my guess.
Yeah. And also, in Picard, some pretty interesting moments, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like that moment in episode 2 where Picard goes to Starfleet and such and trying to negotiate with the Admiral and such. But man, the Admiral just turns her back on Picard,
Yeah, drops a big F-bomb, too.
Yeah.
Wow, that really shocked me.
Like, man, this woman just doesn't care. Just doesn't give a crap.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get that. I don't like that kind of language being used in Star Trek.
But I think what she said, like, that made sense for a shocking moment.
Yeah.
And it did, it did shock us.
Yeah, it did.
You did. I remember saying, gee whiz, like something like that.
I remember we looked at each other like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did, guys, we did. When we heard that, it's like, again, and I think that was fitting, because for a shocking moment, because out of nowhere, the Admiral just flat out turns down Picard,
Exactly.
Yeah, like, and also in episode 1, because, like, the people interviewing Picard, they're just trying to get to Picard, trying to ask him why he left Starfleet,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Picard's not liking this,
Right.
But he just snaps, because Starfleet wasn't Starfleet anymore,
Exactly.
And he's got a point, I assume.
I'd say he's got a good point, because you're finding out Starfleet is not what you think it is. It's turned
and not what Picard had been a part of.
Exactly. It's not at all what it's become something completely different.
Yeah, you just wonder what the heck happened with Starfleet, what went wrong.
Well, it sort of sounds like, and I'll make another prediction that before everything is said and done, Picard will end up being reinstated in Starfleet as an admiral, and that's my guess. That's my guess.
Yeah, you never know. But another thing is, like, there are a few mentionings, like, there were mentionings of, like, Riker was mentioned. We haven't seen him yet, nor Troy, but also the mentionings of Geordi and Worf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Which that opens it up that either two of those characters could come back.
Yeah, but do you kind of remember what happened to Worf in the comic issues leading up to the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek film?
I forgot.
Like, I think he was killed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he's dead in this timeline though. He's you have to put it that way because there's so many timelines now.
I mean, this is obviously the main one,
Yeah.
the main universe,
Well, you've got the regular Star Trek universe, then you have the Kelvin timeline,
and you have the mirror one, mirror universe.
The mirror universe,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you have 3: the main one, the one with the Kelvin timeline, the one that Spock and Nero made, by changing everything, and you have the mirror one.
Exactly.
And coincidentally, the Kelvin timeline, it has its mirror universe.
Yeah. It does.
So I guess that makes it 4.
Yeah,
4. You have the main one. You have the second one, which is the Kelvin timeline, the one where Spock and Nero created it and such, and you have 2 mirror ones, one with the main universe and the one with the Kelvin timeline.
Right. Okay, it's giving me a headache now, so let's not talk about it so much.
Yeah, but I've given the basics.
Yeah, exactly.
And and what's interesting is that the Borg cube, like, I remember when I saw the trailers and clips, like, okay, we're actually going to see Borg, but no, it's actually like a community or like one of those, like, what's the word I'm looking for, like no Borg-related stuff going on, just people in the ship, doing daily work or something,
Exactly.
Which that's kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care for it. I think it's pretty cool, so,
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. And again, we'll be getting the appearances of Seven of Nine and Riker and Troy. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see how Riker and Troy fits into this.
Yeah.
If they're going to go on the mission with him, or if they're going to
Maybe he help him out on something.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think maybe most likely Seven of Nine will be joining Picard's crew. So
Yep.
Yeah. So, and again, what do we think? Again, anything else to say about Picard?
Nothing else that I can think of. No.
I mean, once again, what do we think of it so far? And with only 3 episodes,
It's excellent. Good writing.
I think so too. Yeah.
And they've got it's just getting started.
It is getting started. It is. And you guys let us know what you think of Picard. You will let us know in the comment section below, because we both enjoy it. So
Very much so.
Yep. We can't wait for the next episodes coming out.
Right.
Yep. And we'll give our reviews on the next episodes as well.
We will.
Yep, definitely. So, I guess with all that said, I think we pretty much covered everything.
We have.
And anything else to say? Any last words?
No, nothing else.
All right. Well, with all that said, guys, we hope you enjoyed this review video of Picard, so far of Picard, and with 3 episodes. And we look forward to reviewing the rest.
Now streaming on CBS All Access.
Exactly. And again, let us know what you think of it. Leave comments down below. Let us know. Anyways, again, with all that said, we hope you enjoyed this review video, and we'll see you guys in the next video/review video. Take care, peace out, and
Off out.
off out, and make it so.